Alrighty. Gonna do a completely new playthrough. Chose a female because most enemies in the game are males, so they have the male voice, and it can be a little weird to run past something and not realize, you woke an enemy up sleeping. So, yep, I have my own uh, voice, distinct voice. That would be the one, uh, honestly, the one benefit to playing a woman in this game. Usually, I play females generally because I don't know, they're pretty. I like pretty, but I like them on females. I have some male characters too, but most of my characters are female. My last character I modeled after my wife. Eh, she thought it was sweet. All right, so for starting equipment, uh, really it does not matter. That's what everybody will tell you. And it really, for the most part, does not matter. But you can choose to get some starting stats right off the bat. And whatever you choose will give you that stat. So, Constitution is good. I'm going to go with the spear, but uh, stamina, strength, and skill are well, really good to get early on. Uh, Constitution, skill, and um, strength are the uh, stats that the staff uses, which is over here, or the spear uses. Strength will give you heavy armor, access to heavy armor earlier, and skill will give you access to light armor earlier. I'm going to choose these two because they scale with the spear. I could have also chose the uh, axe for the stamina, which will help your carry weight quite a bit. So generally, I do with this one. On my first playthrough, I actually did the fish, and I do not recommend it because until you have a good understanding of when to burst counter, uh, it is probably the tightest and most punishing one. Although phantoms are generally the strongest ones late game, uh, brute is probably the strongest early game because you can just their burst counter is literally just an interrupt like that. Then the guardian spirit skill, it doesn't really matter. The burst counter for this is literally just a block. The fish does massive damage if you can get it to apply. The one thing I like about Phantom is it gets range bonuses. So there's some gear that will, I think it's primarily on your bows and your rifles, and I guess cannons, will decrease defense on a ranged weapon hit. It's a chance to. And Yokai Shift is actually just a bunch of ranged attacks. There is an exception. Charged Feral Strong for some reason counts as a ranged attack as well. Most people don't know until way later on, which is unfortunate. Not only does the Brute have the burst counter, which is an interrupt, it also has this, whoops, which is you hold block and you press Y when you are about to get hit, and it will interrupt pretty much anything. Uh, if you're in depths, it's pretty abusable on Tadaboshi. Like it just does an insane amount of interrupts on her, and she hits hard as a truck. So yeah, it's pretty decent. Alrighty, I'm gonna go with Pharaoh this time because I really liked it at the start. I know I started with the my first playthrough ever was the um, Phantom, but immediately after the first mission, I think it was halfway into the second mission. Actually, it was later. It was when I was fighting Anera that I tried Feral and it just saved my life. And then I never really touched it after that. Uh, but in my latest playthrough, I've been using Feral a lot, and it's pretty good. It's way better than I even remember it to be. So I'm going to be using Feral again. Uh, yeah, I think that's it. Leave this place. So immediately when you start the game, it's going to want you to go into the first mission. What I really suggest, go to the starting point, and you're not gonna have access to hidden tea house yet, but uh, be- because I've already beat the game like 100% of it and all that, I think you just have to get the first part to unlock it the first time, but it'll unlock once you do on your second playthrough and subsequent playthroughs. But anyways, just go to the dojo. There's basic actions and training ground. Basic actions pretty limited. Just go to training ground. Okay, there's a little shrine here. Um, I guess I can't collect my boons yet. I guess let me show you how to do that first. It'll be alright. We didn't lose much. Okay, you see that divine branch fragment? That is pretty important for the next step. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, first of all, we're going to level up because praying at a shrine gives you a little bit of Amrita, not a whole lot, but a little bit. Put it in stamina. You're going to want it for the equipment. And then we're going to go to boons. You don't need it, but if you bought the whole game, you're going to get it for free, so you might as well use it. So it just basically gives you a bunch of low level starter gear that you're going to outpace in this level. But what I like about it, I mean, it's barely stronger, but anyways, it gives you everything. So I'm going to switch to what I'm going to use as my main, which will be the spear and the probably the katana, just because strength and skill are the substats, and yeah. So Demon Horde is really good. It just puts you at a level C. like if you change everything to over, it's gonna put you at like a level C agility. And Lone Wolf is actually decent. We're not gonna equip anything except this Kadama, the Sudama for the sensors, and we'll go ahead and put a helm on. It keeps us in B agility. So if you look up top, equipment weight, it's 15.8 out of 30.6. That's, you know, how much your equipment weighs, but then it gives you percentage. I believe 30% is A, 30% and lower is A, 70%, 69.9%, maybe it's 70%, or lower is B, and 99.9 to 70%, you know, is C, and then you can actually get D agility. So I'm at C right now because it turned yellow, and I believe maybe I don't have enough to put me at that. Little bit of stamina helped, I guess. But yeah, D agility will just basically, oh, maybe I spoke too soon. Yep. So D agility basically, yeah. You do anything and your key bar is basically gone. Yeah. Pretty crazy. I've seen people play with it as like a challenge, and I mean, you can still do it, and you'll take somewhat less damage because, I mean, it's pretty decent gear still. But yeah, I don't know. I still would just prefer to keep at least B agility, which I guess having this will still give me B agility. So I'll keep these two because it still gives me quite a bit of defense. Anyways, now that we've talked a whole lot on this first mission, we're going to go to our items, usable items, and we're going to go to Divine Branch Fragment. We're going to use this, and we're going to lose our 143 Amrita. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. All right. Now we're going to go back to the dojo. Or the training ground, whatever you want to call it. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, your anima is always going to be full. All your consumables are always full. You can get a full Amrita gauge, which is basically your guardian spirit. You know, you could read it. It's all right there. Okay, and if you want to leave, you just press this. And if you want a full Amrita gauge, you press this. And then you can go on to this. Practice your guardian spirit skills a little bit. So, the reason we came here is because you're going to be facing quite a bit of different enemies, and this is a decent place to get familiarized. So there's a dweller over here. And you just learn their attack patterns. Like, I know this guy right here will generally kill most players the first time they meet him. So coming over here and fighting this guy, you know, before you encounter him, because Team Ninja did something kind of shitty, and they put this guy right in front of a shrine, which is a checkpoint in the level. And yeah, you can't die in here, so you know you just learn their attack counters. So that's a good way to practice burst counters. So if you saw that, which I mean, obviously, uh, what happens for that grapple is when you knock a yokai out of key and they're completely out of key and you burst counter them, it will let you press Y immediately and you could do a yokai shift grapple. Otherwise, it looks something like, well, I had to proc it again, I guess. Unfortunately, he didn't do a burst counter attack when he was out of key. It's alright. Now, what you want to do is, all yokais have some sort of, I don't know if I'd say all. Most yokais have some sort of horn on them, like a shiny yellow part. And that's a grab. You don't want to get hit by that. We just run out of keys. If you can hit it, like his is on his head, you can see it. It's like a little crown. If you can hit it, he will take a lot of key damage, and it'll actually, your attacks against him will be stronger. Or at least that attack that you do will be a lot stronger. Alright, he's got a little bit of key left. So if you don't like your helmet, you can turn it off here. You just go to basic game setting. If you don't like, if you want like your numbers and stuff, you can put that on as well. Go into that, change your subtitles around. Give me a little bit key. There you go. So if you don't press Y immediately when you burst counter him out of key, you'll go back into your human form, and then you can still grapple him. That's basically what I was trying to show right there. Over here you have some human enemies. And they come out of key too. And you can grapple them. And more Rita. You can fight a ninja here. You can fight a skeleton here. Skeleton with the spear. Got a good choice in equipment. Probably one of the most annoying skeletons to deal with, besides maybe like the ranged ones with art or with bows or rifles or cannons. Those skeletons are pretty annoying too. But okay, so a pretty big important thing I want to show you is key pulsing. And so basically, after every attack, you get this little white line, and up top, or this little white and blue stuff circling you. When it comes around you, you can key pulse by pressing RB or R1 or whatever you use. And if you look under my health gauge, you'll see that little green bar. if you time it correctly, you can, like when it turns white, you can recover that amount. If you do it early, you're still gonna get a little key back, not a whole lot. But yeah, eventually you'll be able to flux. It'll be in these learn skills stuff right here. In the samurai tree, one of the first things you will pick up is flux, and you want to actually put it in action. Flux and then flux 2. You won't always use it, but it's a good habit to get into because it is pretty helpful. Then I usually go for these key pulses, running waters, and purify yokai realm before getting into the arcanas. There's a couple arcanas I might grab early just because I kind of know what I'm doing and experience, but generally, if you are switching stances like you should, these are the best to grab early on after flux. And all flux is you want to key pulse and then switch stance. So while you press that, you also just, well, you press RB, you also press X or A or Y. And then flux 2 is you press RB and then XA or XA, and then you're in A or low stance, then you go XA or XY rather. You just switch to the stance you're not in, and you will get flux. Pretty easy. A lot of people say you have to switch as you're doing it. Like, now you can actually, if you look at it, you can just press RB and then switch to. It's not really hard. It's not overly complicated. It seems like it is. The biggest part is it takes like half a second extra. So you're not always going to be able to do it, especially when you're trying to keep pressure on something. But a lot of times, if you correctly position yourself, you're going to have time to do, a few, especially when you're at the end of your key bar. And pretty early on, you're going to have plenty of time because the enemies are slower. I mean, you're slower, the enemies are slower. It's a good time to practice early on. So, without further ado, that's pretty much the basics. So, we'll grab these. Now, if you walk real slow, you can surprise it. Eventually, you'll be able to sneak attack. But we haven't unlocked that yet. So I'm going to see if I can wear... Aww. The strongest or defensive stuff would be your chest and your waist. Chest first, waist. And then it's tied between your helmet, your gloves, and your boots. So what I was trying to do was see if I could put Lone Wolf on and then Demon Horde, but it put me in Sea Agility. And early on, it's just not a good place to be. I mean, Sea Agility works, but I prefer B or lower. So you don't have to fight this, but we're not a quitter. See, when he's out of key, you'll always interrupt him, so that's a good thing to know. One thing about Feral, you always want to, if you're burst countering, you always want to iframe forward. Otherwise, sometimes it will not actually work. So you want to back off a little bit. And standing a good distance away is nice too, because sometimes you can dodge behind them by accident. Like that. It's alright though. And when he's staggered like that and low out of the key altogether, I will go ahead and not even worry about like keeping like the pressure on him, because I know a single hit is going to stagger him. So I have all the time in the world to just high stand strong, let my key recover to white, and then key pulse. If that makes sense. Key management early on is pretty important. When you have a window to recover key, you want to try to take advantage of that. And that's the first step, honestly. So this is a shortcut. I'll grab something here real quick, and then I will... actually, I'm going to unlock shortcut up here, and then I will grab what I need over there, and then I will come back. First Kodama on the map. Grab those. If you see me do a lot of strong attacks, it's because strong attacks are actually one of the strongest spear skills Spear has. It's kind of funny. Big tangent on that, but yeah, definitely don't be afraid to grab or use a lot of strong attacks. Wonder if so we're gonna go ahead and give up a lot of our stuff. Yeah, we just offer it up, and then we get some Amrita back. And once we offer it, we should unlock the Bazaar. And if we're lucky, we can get ninjutsu items. And so what we'll do there is we will go into items and equip it, or set it to shortcut rather. So Sacred Water is also good. Will give you quite a bit of key recovery early on. Stones, decent early on. Drag out some enemies from the rest of the group. So yeah, we're gonna put this into there since we have some ninjutsu items. Looks like we got a couple samurai things. We're gonna use flux and key pulse heaven. So now activates when you recover a full key from a key pulse, applies a special effect that raises your damage on the next attack, high stance only. And then flux, changing to another stance on a successful key pulse, increases the amount of key recovered. So I'll show you that real quick. So if I do that, see how it went to full instantly? Ta-da! Alrighty, got the first spear skill. Alright, so eventually I want this, but right now we're going to go for Spear Flourish. As much as this is a good skill, Spear Flourish is very important to this spear. The single most important skill that spear has is Spear Flourish. Alright, we're going to grab something really quick, and then we are coming straight back. And that would be this bow. Don't necessarily need it, we could grab it later, but it's nice to have when you come through there the first route. That's the shortcut. I don't think some people are going to be able to beat the Gozuki the first playthrough unless they spend hours grinding it, so I'm going to skip the shortcut for now. Spear's really strong, or bow's really strong early on. You get the a bullseye, which is a yellow circle with a red dot into it, or a red circle with a red dot in. A red circle with a red dot is a perfect bullseye, and it will do the most amount of damage. Alrighty, so here is the first really big yokai we gotta fight. I suggest low stance to dodge. It's got kind of a rhythm. It'll stab. Usually it's swing, swing, stab. So. Got the horn. Like I said, when the enemy is out of key, it will always stagger them. When it's not, it will not like that. So that's a soul core, and it will always fill up your anima from 0 to full, no matter what your anima gauge is. Anima is what you will use to successfully burst counter. I don't like him. He's looking at me. So there's actually a somewhat hidden mechanic in the game. It's called surprise damage. And just like that, I got a point of ninjutsu. And that's what I'm going for. You get ninjutsu and Nioh by using them. So and you get it through the shrine just by RNG. I got pretty good RNG there. Yeah. So this just told me to drop attack if you didn't catch what it says. It's all in here. And basically you go off a ledge and you press Y or X. And it does damage based on your weight apparently. But yeah, it'll kill most things. Now, if you line it up correctly, you can drop attack both of these. You want to go ahead and Sacred Water, because if you miss up, you'll run out of ki pretty quick. When you high stance strong on the spear, you want to make sure you have a little bit of range, because if you do not, you will likely miss. You baited me out. That is a grapple. Easy. Grapples are really strong in Nioh. Especially if you're one-manning it. If you're... There is a multiplayer in Nioh. If you are using it, sometimes it's not the best thing to do. Just because there's a thing called zero-ki comboing. It really only takes effect later in the game when enemies block a lot. But I mean, it's there. So we just got a soul core. We're gonna go to there in this spot. It'll say manage soul cores. I'm not sure why they didn't give you that immediately. But if you go to change soul core, you can press attune soul core, or change guardian spirit. You can press attune soul core, and you'll just go ahead and equip Inki. It's not that great of a soul core, but honestly, it's something. So yokai abilities, or soul cores, which are yokai abilities, they do quite a bit of damage to the enemy's ki, especially yokai's ki. And some of them have special properties, like the ones I usually like are the anti-grapple soul cores, because I can cancel. You can basically super cancel anything with a yokai ability, which soul core. So if I overcommit and I need to dodge something, I can just press one of my soul cores and get out of it. So here's why we picked up the bow. It's nice to be able to snipe this first guy. If you don't have it, you can just lock onto him and throw a rock. Oof. So they can knock you out of ki too. Yeah. Now that we do have this, this is what's called a bullseye, and then a perfect bullseye is when it glows red. See how that didn't kill it? Archers are usually weaker, so it will kill it there. But yeah. If it's red and a red dot in a red circle, you'll usually do a lot more damage than a yellow circle outside of a red dot. So, like I said, you can usually one-shot the archers, but really no need. Good little piercing rain action there. So if I shoot him now, the guard will definitely pay attention. But when the guard has its back turned on an enemy, There's really nothing. He doesn't really know. Get your little Hakiri sword. Or Harakiri, whatever. It basically lets you go back to the shrine, but you lose everything. So there should be. I don't have to fight that guy. I don't know if you can tell I've played Nioh a couple times before, knowing where all the enemies are. But yeah. These are little revenants. If you summon a revenant, you can actually take some of their gear. This one is like an NPC. It doesn't really have decent gear. Although, if you summon a blue grave and it's an NPC, they usually are pretty strong. They have a pretty decent health pool on them. Regardless of whatever the gear says, they're usually really strong. So, something to keep in mind. Some of them will actually give you unique dialogue if you beat the boss without them dying. Alright, so all enemies before have had no helmets on. Or if they've had helmets on, it's been like really light helmets. So even though this is red, if we go ahead and shoot him, it'll just knock off his helmet and he'll be alert. Like that. But the skilly is at our advantage. Just make sure you outrange him. Going for the grapple. So, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is a NPC Revenant. It's not another player that put their grave down, which you can do. I don't have the thing to do it, but you can put your grave down so other people can use it. But this is not one of those cases. You have to have an item, it's called Righteous Jasper, to put your own grave down. Alrighty, so here is the, it's why we went to the training ground in the first place. This little Dark Realm Circleo, which, get all this Amrita first. That thing right there that's swirling, that is a Dark Realm. Or not a Dark Realm, a Yokai Realm. And so basically, it has a yokai in it for certain. It has a higher chance to drop a soul core. I've never had luck with this particular one. But, it does. like I said, I've never had any luck getting that particular soul core to drop there on the first time. But most other yokai realms are pretty generous at getting it. So if you speak here, talk to him a couple times, he gives you a lantern plant fruit. You use lantern plant fruits to get anima, which gives you access to your burst counters and your yokai abilities. So we're going to pray back at the shrine. Every time you pray at a shrine, all the enemies respawn besides those that were in dark realms or affected by dark realms and those in yokai realms. We've only seen a yokai realm so far, but it's okay. We'll see a dark realm soon enough. So we go to Ready Jutsu. Now we have access to this, and we're going to try to level this up. You level it up by using it. So the best way to do ninjutsu is to simply get that surprise damage. I'm not sure exactly what the damage modifier is for the surprise damage, but I know it's significant. He's an archer, so he'll go down one hit. And as soon as he turns around, it hurts so bad not having Spear Flourish. It's alright though. So there's a cat. We're going to actually not grab that cat right now. We'll come back to it. This is a dark realm. So you can actually skip the dialogue that plays like that by pressing L3 or just press your joystick down. That's what L3 is. So for the Dark Realm, everything inside of it, once you kill the main baddie in there, it'll have like red flowers floating around it. It will die. So I mean, you don't have to clear out the minions, but it will possibly make the fight easier. So why not? If you are outside of the Dark Realm and you attack something in it, you will do less damage to it. However, if you are both inside it or both outside of it, it will do regular damage. You can still kill things while outside of it and they're inside of it. It's just gonna eat up more stuff. Okay, see how the flowers are blooming around him? See it there? That means he's the main baddie of this Dark Realm. See that? He went to go grab me and couldn't because I used his own ability on him. Look at this NPC going. Now the ink has cleared and I can get this chest. Awesome. Huh. Yeah, always check where you're jumping. I knew it was coming, but I know the first time I did not. And it got me, and I died there. And it hurt. Alrighty, now that I have Spear Flourish, this next fight should be quite a bit easier. Spear Shove, that'll be eventual, and Fatal Thrust will be eventual. Really, these Spear Shove and Fatal Thrust are pretty much my whole damage kit. All these other skills are not, I mean, they're alright, they're just not as vital to how I play Spear. Water Wheel's alright, but anyways, this isn't a we'll get there when we get there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pet this cat. And this will actually help in our fight against Mizuki because it does a lot of key damage. And saving it for this fight was smart. We're going to check the bazaar again. Hopefully they have barrier talismans or something to increase sweet. It's alright, I'll take that. Why don't I, you want to sort by level, it'll make things easier. Come on. Well, there goes my there goes my it's campus. It's the cat. I was really hoping I could get that on there. It's not gonna work this time. It's alright though. I need to get my constitution up a little bit to equip. Sort by level. Alright. Okay. I use high stance quite a bit. Not exclusively, but quite a bit. Yeah, just get everything up. So the barrier talisman is actually an effective thing against Mizuki. I somehow got really lucky on that. Oof, I'm missing all my bullseyes on him. Uh-oh. I lost a... Oh, I know exactly where it's at. Dang it. There's a Kadama I missed. I know where it's at. So, you don't have to fight everything again. It's a waste of time. They'll eventually de-aggro. I don't know why they... So the good thing about High Stance Strong is it's really effective downhill. Yeah, so in normal missions, this block is not here. So you could just go and grab that Kadar. They put that block there so you couldn't skip the yokai. I get it. It's just kind of frustrating because I always forget to circle back. Anyways, as we were... kind of a pointless detour, but if we grab that Kadar or Kadama now, we don't have to grab it later. Alrighty. So the reason oh, did I get a perfect? So I can show you what a Righteous Jasper is. Righteous Jasper, you want to go ahead and domain of a boss. It's not the domain of a boss. So you put down your own grave, and now people can summon you to help with the fight. So now that we have that out of the way. So the reason Barrier Talisman is good is Mizuki, there's like 2 or 3 enemies that have little ghost soul things, and Mizuki's one of them. There's an owl that has... It's pretty much known for that. That's the attack, and it does a lot of key damage. And if you have Barrier Talisman, it just basically gets rid of all of those. So there's a couple ways to cheese this boss. I can show it to you, but it's really not too hard. I mean, I guess if it's your first playthrough, it's going to be a little difficult. I think I struggled with it when I first started, but once you get it, you pretty much got it. It's nothing really will one-shot you. It'll leave you pretty close. But, that grab is the most annoying thing he's got, so. And there he goes. He likes to spam it. So what you can do is you can use the yokai ability to move it, or you can actually it encourages you to go into your yokai ship to basically just wail on this boss. Yokai skill uses a lot. Oh no. I was going to show you how to cheese it. Sorry, I guess I can still show you. So, when he goes to attack you, run him into this pillar here. It'll unleash a lot of Amrita, and it'll basically fill your... Shut up. It'll basically fill your Amrita gauge completely up again, and you'll be able to go into Yokai Shift again. If you can pre-stack it, that's great. That way you could get basically 2 Yokai Shifts. However, you want to make sure you wait for this... Shut up. This this little gauge that's ticking down right now. You want that to finish before you have it wreck it again. Otherwise, you know, it's not going to fill up all the way. An easy way to fill it up is to actually use a yokai ability, or you could use these spirit stones, and spirit stones will actually fill it up as well. Alright, and that is the first mission. And now you'll get another Feral Guardian Spirit. It's pretty comparable. Usually I go with the Brute and then I use the Feral one I get at this mission. However, I just figured I'd stay with this Guardian Spirit this time. Gonna give you all that. There is one thing I like about the Feral Guardian Spirit that this one does not have, and that is the key recovery speed, the 12.5%. If you would have chose the Brute one, it would have give you all your skills cost 10% less key, which is pretty strong. The Feral, or the Phantom one, I don't think really gave you too much, except it gives you like 200 life, or maybe it's 500 life. Anyways, it gives you a little bit of life and life recovery on yokai ability hit, which I think it's like C plus or something, but it's still pretty decent. Or maybe it's A and then C plus if it's your secondary. I can't remember. Anyways, it's still pretty decent. It's just one of the harder ones to use when you're on your first playthrough, especially if you haven't learned the timing to the burst counters yet. It can be pretty frustrating to die right before a checkpoint. Yeah, a good thing about this one is it's got the increased attack and read absorption. Basically, you'll get Amrita every time you attack a yokai when they're out of key, or anytime you use a yokai ability. Most 99% of yokai abilities give you Amrita. There's a couple that are kind of weird that don't, like I think the Tessu doesn't, but other than that, that's how you get Amrita. And Amrita is your experience. It is your Amrita gauge. That, like, so you go into your guardian form, or your yokai form, or whatever. You can have it to increase your attack, increase your defense, increase your key recovery, increase life recovery, depending on the effects you have. So, Amrita, really good. I like the fact that your experience, you know, you get things when you get experience. It makes it so that way, even if you're maxed out on level, which you probably won't do until you hit really, really late game. Each difficulty has its own max level, but it makes it so that even when you're maxed out on level, gaining Amrita or experience is still, you know, good. There's still benefits to it. I like that. Um, and then auto grave recovery. So if you die, you have a 25% chance that your guardian spirit will come back to you, and you don't have to use a summoner's candle, or you don't have to go touch your grave. It'll just be right back to you. It's kind of nice. It stacks up with, I think, skeleton warriors have a auto grave recovery and a couple other things. Imbue purity strong attack. It does somehow work with a corrupted weapon. Basically, purity. I know this is a bunch of info dump right now. Basically, purity will give you increased key damage. I think like 50% extra. So it'll be easier to perform grapples or out of key state combos, and then Emerita sensor. It's nice. It's not like amazing or anything. Usually it's got like one or two good effects, and then the rest are like all right. Like running speed and key recovery is all this is really good for, unless you go into a lightning damage build. Divine rice drop rate doesn't really matter. I'm not really sure why they saw that as a selling point there, but I mean, they're early game guardian spirits. Of course, it's going to be whatever. So I got Shifling skill point. One of the better things you could put it into is these fiendish moths and special finesse recuperate when you do a burst counter or a grapple. So in this case, if you burst counter a yokai that's out of key, you can go into that yokai shift grapple, and you will gain the benefits of this. I like these special finesse, and I will probably go for that one after, because I need to get this right here, this one right here. Night and day difference. Gives you that extra bit of key early on, even late game. That extra bit of key when you're burst countering, when you're putting pressure, and then a boss decides to put pressure on you, and you can basically keep pressure and flip the rolls back to where they were. This is really good for piercing rain. It's just something we get very later on. I probably won't get this until the end of this play or this difficulty, unfortunately. But it is what it is. It's not too important. I'm not gonna really suffer from not having it. It just sucks that I don't get it too early, because it is a really good thing. If you have Imperious Strike with Piercing Rain, it gives you a lot of ammo, especially with a Feral Guardian Spirit. Haven't unlocked anything for that. I will go ahead and add a point of Constitution in. And a point of stamina in. Blessed Weapon, like I said, it was just to talk about purity. Purity, if the enemy is purified, they will be take more key damage. Alrighty, anyways, I think that is the end of this video. I will continue the next one in the next one. I'll see ya, and thank you for wasting your time with me.